I made a video earlier this spring about trying to start this thing and it wouldn't go, and I am here today to try to get that thing going again. What I said in the last video was we were having problems with our fuel system losing prime, and what I've done since then is I've taken this panel off to get to the gas tank, and right here, this is our feed and return line. I was thinking there might be some problems here, but if I can show you down there. But I got this kind of undone, looked in here, and I can see there's nothing wrong with these lines, at least from the tank up until the tunnel of the bus. So I know my problem isn't there, and I can see from about here all the way back to the bulkhead of the engine bay, and so there's a little gap between the first compartment and the battery bay that I can't see inside the tunnel because the HVAC system is right behind those batteries, you know, the core for the heater and all the fans and everything. So I don't think it's the hard lines. It could be, but there is one more line in the rear engine bay that we have not replaced, and that is this line right here, and that is the fuel return line that comes from the fuel rails on the engine to the check valve as it goes into the hard lines. So today I'm going to get that off and get that replaced. On the back of the bus here, someone have cut an access hatch above the engine, and we've had it sealed up, and I don't really want to break the seal, but I have to get in there. So I've scraped away the expandable foam we put around the edges, and I gotta get these screws out, and we'll see if I can get to the end of that line on the fuel rail. Here we have the hatch inside this little compartment, and there's just a piece of tin that someone's folded up, and we have some access to the engine here, and right there is the line I just replaced. I didn't film getting it out of there because it took hours to do, but I've got that line on there, and I'm gonna have to call it quits for today, because on the other end of this line where it connects down to the tunnel of the bus and runs up the floor to the gas tank, the check valve in that line had some really bad threads on it, so I'm gonna have to get a new check valve. A few days later, the check valve came, and it didn't come with a fitting for the hose, so I went down to the hardware store and I got these two because they didn't have a 90 in what size I needed. So I'm gonna put this in. Well, the new check valve is installed in place, and now it's time to prime the fuel system. And what I have to do that, I have to come here to the engine. I have to take this off. This is the fuel pump, and there's 3 bolts to hold that on. One there, and around hidden on this side. It's kind of hard to even show you, but there it is. That's a pain to get to. And then I gotta take that off, and I'll hook it up to a cordless drill and just spin the pump for a while, and then see if she'll run. I've got a ratchet extension 3/8 chucked up into my drill. I'm going to use this to turn the fuel pump, and this will pull the fuel up out of the tank. I'm going to run a couple gallons through it just to make sure that I'm not just sucking a little bit out of the fuel filters, and then I'll reconnect this output line, and then I'll push it through the engine to the fuel rails and out to the tank again.
I pumped about a gallon worth of fuel out of there, and I assume that's enough to prime the line, make sure the fuel filters are full. I didn't really get much of any kind of air pockets. I did get a couple small ones when I lasted for a couple seconds, and then it was pretty much constant. So I think I'm pretty well primed. I hooked the output line back up, and I'm going to push fuel through the tank, or excuse me, through the engine, through the fuel rails, and down the return line. And I'm going to have my assistant helping me run the camera stay back here and listen for fuel to be trickling back into the tank here from the return line. I spun this on the drill for a good 5 minutes, and now I'm going to put it back together. I need to find my gasket first. Keep it rolling. It's okay. Alright, this is a bit of a pain to put back together because you have to snake it right up into there, and it doesn't fit. It's pretty tight fit. One thing I forgot to mention is there's this little yoke that slips on to the shaft, and we have to get this turned and lined up perfectly to connect with these two little spots in the camshaft that spin this, and it makes it very difficult to get everything all lined up. Okay, I have the pump bolted back into place. I'm ready to see if this thing will start. I guess I'll set you on this car over here, and I'll go see if it'll turn over. Everything looks good. I'll let it run for a little bit and let it air up, and we'll see what happens.